All right, so taking the cross country out. Just a quick trip over to Home Depot. Basically what I want to do, so a lot of these shiny parts, I want to get some Plastidip, and I'm not a huge fan of chrome. I do love the color of the bike, the white, but I want to get rid of some of the chrome. So I'm going to hit some of the parts with Plastidip on the cases, the latch, the turn signals here. I'll eventually, the hot parts, so the engine covers, the exhaust heat shields, I'll get them all powder coated. Probably these crash bars, I'll get them powder coated as well. But I'm going to take as much of the shiny stuff and I'm going to make it black. I'm going to black it out. So take a little trip over to Home Depot, see what we can find. I need some tape and I need some Plastidip. So I guess while I'm on my way to Home Depot, I'll talk about some of the things that I've been learning with my bike. So, you know, they say every time you ride, you learn. And, I mean, I want to thank everybody who puts up videos on YouTube because I watch a lot and, you know, just trying to be a better rider. So, you know, one of the things that I've been focusing on has been my use of the rear brake because I don't think I use it that much. When I was riding my V-Strom, I probably, you know, I would say I almost never used my rear brake. And being on a cruiser, I'm finding the rear brake helps with the different dynamics of what a cruiser is versus a kind of like an adventure bike. The rear brake is definitely more useful in keeping this big bike balanced and upright. What's up, brother? So at slow speeds, I've really been kind of forcing myself to use more of my rear brake to keep the balance of the bike, and because I sit in a lot of traffic. You know, I commute to New Jersey, and my commute is full of heavy traffic. So those of you that are not from this part of the world, the Pennsylvania-New Jersey border is only about 10 miles that way, and my job is in New Jersey, and it's actually, my commute is 70 miles, and I sit in a lot of traffic. So how to maintain, you know, keep the bike from weaving all over the place, keep my balance. You know, we go from high speed to low speed, a lot of creeping along, and the front brake is really not the right brake to be using for that because it changes the balance of the bike. You know, when you hit the front brake, the front end will want to dip down, and if you don't have your handlebars straight, you know, if you're at an angle, you got the wheels turned, your bike is going to dip down that way, and that's a good chance of dumping the bike. So I've really been, you know, like I said, you know, you learn every time. So I've really been focusing on my rear brake, and man, does it make a difference. It's absolutely true what they say. You know, your rear brake is your friend on these, definitely on these types of bikes, and I'm sure it's on every bike. I just never had felt the need or got used to using the rear brake, but I definitely am when I was riding my Hammer, and now that I'm riding this bike, definitely getting a lot more used to using the rear brake. And you know, basically what it does, what I've felt, you know, I'll preface this with I am not a scientist, but so when you use the rear brake, it settles the back of the bike, not drastically like that, but it settles the back of the bike and keeps your balance. And you can even ride the rear brake when you're in slow speeds, and that helps keep your balance. You know, you've got the the power moving you forward, but the rear brake is kind of, keeping you planted. And I believe the technique is called trail braking. And it takes a while to get used to, but it's something that I've been practicing, and it's been helping me make kind of tighter turns on this big bike. And I'm definitely benefiting from it. So, for those of you that do watch these videos, if anybody has any comments about that, I'd certainly be interested in hearing your thoughts and your experiences with that. So like I said, we are, Home Depot is not a far trip. It's right here, right off the ramp on the right. Go do a little shopping and then head back home and, maybe do a little painting of the shiny parts of my bike. And so now here I am at a stop, and I've not put my right foot down, and that is a good technique for when you're in traffic like this. Keep your foot on your rear brake. That way you've got throttle control. You're not hanging your fingers over. I guess you could use the two-finger motion. But I've definitely found the rear brake is the way to go in traffic. I've got my full hand on the throttle. I'm utilizing the friction zone of my clutch, and I'm using the rear brake to keep my speed in check. So my rear brake in conjunction with my friction zone of the clutch. That's my method, and it's definitely working. See if we can get a CBR. See if we can get a spot up front here. Definitely don't want to go where all the Home Depot carts or carriers are. So since this is the exit over here, I'm going to park over right. And I never like parking all the way up in a spot. Number one, people come up, and if they don't see the tail of the bike, they think the spot's open and they can come whipping in. And number two, I don't like putting my tires in all of that bullshit.